thanks so much for watching. This is the instructional video for the faux leather mini clutch kit. If you don't have a kit, you can get one by visiting my website. The link is in the description below, and I will ship one directly to your house. There's lots of different color options, all sorts of fun stuff. So this is what we're going to be making today. Super, super cute. All the materials used to make these faux leather kits are from scraps from an interior design firm. These are like samples of couches and different furniture pieces, and they were going to be discarded, so I got them and we are upcycling them. So lots of cool colors and textures, and again, they're completely recycled, so you can feel really good using your new little piece knowing that you helped reuse something. Remember, if you have any questions throughout the workshop, please put them in the comments below, and I'll do my best to get to them as quickly as I can and try to answer your questions, or hit me up via email, and I'm happy to help any way that I can. So let's get started. This is kind of what your kit will come to you like. Let me scoot these things over a little bit. Let's pull this all out here. All right, you are awesome. This is just a little note thanking you again so much for supporting me by purchasing a kit. I really appreciate it. I hope that you love what you're learning and you're able to take that on into other kind of crafts and ideas that you have. And also, it's a reminder to follow me on social media, and please, please, please post pictures, tag me in them. I really miss having people in my studio, so I really want to see what you're working on. So please post a picture or send me a pic, because I love to see them. So we'll set that aside. Okay, included in your kit is this tiny cute little pile. You're gonna have a thread color that is pre-waxed. So when you feel it, it feels a little like it has a little tack to it. That's just because it is waxed. And if you don't have a kit and you want to wax your own thread, I'm going to show you how to do that too. But in the kit you'll have that, and it's going to be kind of coordinating with the color that you chose for your piece. You're going to have this nice thick piece of museum board. This is going to help you kind of sew around it and keep the shape of your piece that we're going to be working on. You'll have a little plastic baggie that has a needle and our brass closure hardware included in that. I'm going to go ahead and pop that open and take those out. There we go. So you should have the front and the back piece to the brass closure piece we're using. You can hear my dog, she's like walking around the studio. And then have your needle also. I'm going to get rid of that. And then you should have two pieces in the color that you chose. So we have our exterior piece that's going to make our cool little wallet, and then we have an interior piece that makes it so that there is like a pocket inside. So maybe you put like your money on one side, a credit card on the other side, whatever. Do what you want with it, but we've got some options there. So. Okay, so first we're going to thread your needle. Like I said, if you have your own thread that you want to use, or you don't like the color that I sent you for some reason, you should love the color that I sent you. But if you want to change it out, I'm going to show you how to just wax it. We wax it because that means the knots are going to stay nice and tight. The thread is going to stay kind of more where it is. It's kind of like in bookbinding, you usually wax the thread that you're using. And we're using a 6-thread embroidery floss just because it comes in a bunch of different colors and it works out perfectly for what we need. So that's just available at the craft store for like 50 cents for a little kind of spool of a color. And then I just have this really nasty looking chunk of beeswax here. And all you do to wax your thread, you can kind of see where I've pulled it through. I'm literally just like dragging it through the wax. So again, if you purchased a kit, your thread is already pre-waxed. You don't have to worry about this, which means you should all go purchase a kit from me, because that is how I'm paying my bills during this weird COVID crisis that we're in. There we go. So you can see it's kind of like got this like curl to it, and it's staying like, I don't know, it's a little more rigid, and you'll feel it when you get your kit. So I'm just gonna toss that gross thing aside. It's not gross, it's just beeswax, but okay, I'm gonna go ahead and knot one of the ends, and I'm gonna double knot it. So if you purchased a kit, you have the pieces and the holes are already poked through them. I use my laser machine to kind of cut out this pattern that I created. So it's a lot easier to sew, but we want to make sure that our thread isn't going to come through it. So just make sure that that knot is big enough so that your thread won't pop through. If we get started and you pop through, that's okay. You can just go back and knot it. I didn't include scissors in your kit, but hopefully you all have scissors at home. I'm just going to go ahead and clip that off. So I've got a nice little knot right at the end of my thread. On the other end, stretch this out here, I am gonna thread my needle. So the nice thing about having waxed thread is that you can like kind of mold it and shape it. So I've just flattened it out so it goes right through that needle head, just nice and easy. And I usually pull about 4 or 5 inches beyond the head of the needle, so just leave that dangling there. So we've got our needle on one end and our knot all the way on the other end. So you have like gobs of thread. I just wanted to make sure that you felt like you had enough, but you have way more than what you're gonna need. Okay, so if you see, we want the outside of our wallet to have the nice kind of leather-like finish to it. So this is the outside. So we're gonna turn that over because we're gonna work from the inside. And I want the pocket to be showing, you know, so it's nice like that. So this is kind of how we're working. If you want, you can go ahead and count the holes. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then there's 10 down here. So you can kind of see we go 10 down and then that's where it folds up. So I'm gonna go ahead and start at this top hole, which will be the bottom piece of your, I'm just folding it. I hope that makes sense. It's kind of hard to explain in words, but you can see how it is. It's super simple. We're gonna do 2 different stitches. I'm gonna show you how to do this stitch here, and then I'll show you how to do another option as well. So it might be helpful to watch the whole video, see which stitch you wanna kind of play with, and then we can go from there. So I don't want to have the knot on the outside of my piece, so I'm gonna go ahead and line up my pocket and the bottom of my piece and come in through that back side. So I've got the color front of my pocket, the color front of the part that V's, that has a little hole on the end, and I'm coming in through the back. So now I'm gonna go ahead and fold this over. I'm gonna kind of line up that top hole, even though I didn't go through it yet. And I'm gonna wrap my thread around and go through the second hole all the way through all 3 pieces. You'll see kind of how we connect that last hole in at the very, very end. Let's go ahead and move those scissors. There we go. Go ahead and pull it through. All right, so now we have our first stitch, and it's kind of going at a diagonal down. We're through the front of the second hole. So now we're just gonna wrap around the back and go through the back of the third hole. We're gonna continually go through the same side when we're stitching. See, there's our second stitch that is facing kind of downward again. So we're through the front of our third hole. We're gonna go through the back side of our fourth hole, come through the front. We're just continually wrapping that thread around the outside of our piece. Just making sure that we're lining up and we're hitting all the holes, including our little pocket piece. Don't forget that. I believe this is called a baseball stitch, which as you get going, you're gonna see kind of how that makes sense. It's very similar to the stitching on a baseball. So we'll go all the way to the end, continually just going through the back side, pulling through to the front side, all the way down. If you've never like sewn anything before, don't worry, this is not super complicated, but it is kind of a nice fun thing. These make great gifts. You can even get one for someone and put like a gift card like in it, which would be super sweet of you. Okay, I'm making sure I get my pocket piece in there too and go through all the holes. So now I'm down at the bottom hole. I'm gonna go ahead and just wrap around one more time through that bottom hole, and you're gonna see it's gonna make, oh my gosh, I'm getting all crazy. Move those out. Okay. So I just made like all of these kind of angled stitches, and then I made a straight stitch because I went through that hole again at the bottom. And now I'm just gonna work my way back up. So I'm coming through that bottom hole from the front. I'm gonna go ahead and pop up to the next hole. Again, going through from back to front the whole way. And now I'm starting to create like that cool like X across the side of across the edge of our little wallet. So I'm just going back up the opposite direction, same technique as before. And you can really feel that like the wax on the thread is keeping it nice and tight. So obviously we want to keep pulling our thread taut. You don't need to pull it so tight that you're like creating like a little like pleat, or you don't want to be like have a pucker kind of in your fabric, but pull it taut enough that it is nice and tight. You don't want it to be all floppy and have your cards fall out. That shouldn't happen, but still. Okay, so now I'm all the way up to the top. So I'm going to go ahead and go through that hole that we ignored in the beginning. And that is going to, oopsie, went through a loop there. Okay, that's going to complete our piece. So right now my thread is coming through the front side. I don't want to just knot it off. So I'm going to go ahead and go through the back again. And I'm not going to go through the pocket or the front flap. I'm just going to take it through that back flap. Look at me, I'm a mess. Okay. And grab it. So now my thread is near the knot that we already made. My thread is coming through right there. So we're going to go ahead and knot off that side because we're finished. This is where it might be a little bit hard to see, but don't worry, it's not hard. I'm gonna open this up because it's really pliable. And when you open it up, you can kind of see your stitches that you already created from before. I'm gonna go down to the next stitch and just put my needle up underneath it. I'm not going through to the front, I'm not stitching through any fabric, I'm just putting my needle through that stitch, see, underneath side. And as I pull it, it's going to create a loop. See that loop there? There's a loop, and I'm just going to go through the back side of the loop. So it's very similar to and I'm going to pull it nice and tight. Sometimes with the wax on the thread, you need to use your fingernail to really get it nice and tight. And there's our knot. If you feel really funny about it, go ahead and just do it again. Go through one of those stitches, pull it nice and slow, make that loop, and go through the back side and then pull it nice and tight. It's very similar to if you've ever like mended a piece of clothing that you have. That's a really like super easy way to knot it off. So I've pulled it super tight. We have our wax thread, which means the knots aren't gonna move. I'm gonna go ahead and snip that off there. And there we go. We have one side done, and it's really nice because there are no knots on the outside of our piece at all. So it looks really beautiful. we're basically gonna go ahead and just do the same exact thing to the other side. So if you felt a little funny about watching that first side, we're gonna do it again over here. So we'll go ahead and knot our thread. We've already got our needle threaded. And again, I'm just gonna double knot it, just a really simple loop knot there. Pull it nice and tight, because that wax keeps it perfectly in place. And go ahead and snip off the excess, just because then you don't get lost while you're doing it. Okay, and again, I'm gonna ignore this piece here, this back piece. I'm gonna just focus on the interior pocket and the front part of our piece. And I'm gonna go ahead and pull that through those first hole there. So my knot is right there, which will be on the inside when we bring it back up, which is great, but it'll be nice and hidden. So again, lining up the holes a little bit. I'm gonna go through the back side of the second hole, and that creates our first kind of angled stitch. And then we just kind of keep going, just like before. So I'll try to hurry for the sake of the video, but I want you to see the whole thing again. I have a limited amount of workspace here, so I'm trying, I'm really trying to show you everything in the frame, but I keep grabbing things with my thread. I really love these little wallets. I think they're so cool. I love that they're created using like upcycled materials. That's kind of what I like to do in my shop as much as possible. And it really opens it up so that no one's gonna have the same one, because they're all different. And then I'm picking thread to kind of coordinate with each one for you. So they're super, super fun. And like I said, this is a great craft. It's a nice, easy thing that you're not like stressed about. Okay, I'm coming down to the end, so I'm gonna go ahead and go through that last hole, just like before. I'm making sure that I'm getting my interior pocket piece in there. Okay, hold that through. I'm gonna go through that last hole a second time to create that straight kind of stitch on the bottom. And then I'm gonna go ahead and work my way back up again to create that nice baseball stitch X that we've got going. There are lots of stitches that you could use for this. I really love this one because I feel like it gives a neat detail with the different colored thread, or the thread that kind of contrasts with whatever color of the faux leather you're using. But the next stitch is gonna be more of a traditional, just like straight kind of stitch. There you could do a blanket stitch. I'll try to include that in the description below, just so you can see what I'm talking about. But you can always look up online if you're not into either of the stitches you learned in the video. There are tons of other stitches that you could use. But I just really I like this one. This one's my favorite for this. All right, so I'm back up to the top, and now I'm gonna incorporate that hole that we didn't use before on that last piece. Back side. Go ahead and pull through, and then I'm going to go through that back side again, but I'm pulling my needle through behind the interior flap, so that we're not going to come all the way through to the front, so we can tie our knot on the inside of the flap. Okay, so there it is again. Here's my thread. We're on the inside of our wallet. We can go ahead and open it up. You can see I'm gonna come right down to this stitch that's right next to it, that second stitch. And I'm not going through to the front at all. I'm not going through either of the holes. I'm just putting my needle underneath that stitch. And as you pull, there's the loop. So we'll go through the loop. The rabbit goes through the rabbit hole. Pull it nice and tight. I use my fingernail, especially with this waxed thread. You can really feel it. And I'm gonna go ahead and do it again because I'm just like that. Go ahead and pull it through again. Make it nice and tight. and then you can clip it off. If for some reason you're feeling weird about those knots and you're like, oh, that wax thread is not gonna hold, if you have some glue, I didn't include glue in your kit because it's not totally necessary, but you could just put a little boop, dab of glue there, let it dry, and there you have it. Yay, look at that. We have our cool wallet with 2 sections. Now we just have to attach our brass closure to it, which these are so cool. I love these. So the front is this neat little toggle here that the slit in the top of your flap will just like go right over. And the back is the threaded screw. So you're just gonna go on the inside of that first flap there and stick the threaded part right through that hole so that's facing up. And then make sure they're both like level with each other. You don't want to have them, if they're crooked, they won't like screw together very well. And then righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So I find that you can get these pretty tight with just your fingers. But again, I didn't include this in your kit. If you have a flathead screwdriver, you can always get it real tight with that. But again, mainly finger tight is good enough. If you wanted to dab a little glue, you can. And there we have it. There's our wallet, look at that. So, so, so cute. Love it. You got a couple little areas there for all that money, money, money. And that is it. Lovely. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you the second stitch that we're learning. It's probably even a little simpler and straightforward than the one we just learned, but I really love that kind of baseball stitch so much. I think it adds a lot of character to the piece. You can also see I've got a different color here, different color thread, so it might show up a little differently. Go ahead and thread my needle. So same thing, this is already pre-waxed because I bought my kit from myself, so it's ready to go. I'm gonna go ahead and double knot it and cut off the excess there. Come along to the other end and thread my needle. Sometimes if it's really frayed, go ahead and just cut it to a fresh edge, and that makes it really easy to thread the needle. And I just like to pull about 4 or 5 inches onward so that it's resting there. I'm gonna move those scissors so I don't keep picking those up. Okay, again, I'm gonna start in a very similar way. I'm gonna kind of line up those holes, fold my flap. Remember, we've got 10 holes that go down, so you've got like 30 holes that you're going through pretty much. And I'm gonna start with just the pocket and the bottom part of the flap so that my knot is on the inside of our wallet. All right, and once I've done that, then it's a little easier to kind of like line those holes up. Now, instead of going around to the back side, I'm just gonna go ahead and go down to the next hole and go through the front, just like that. And I'm gonna now go down to the next hole and go through the back. So this is a pretty, gosh, if I can see, there we go. This is a super like basic stitch, and it just gives a little different look to it. So it just depends on which look you like best. And remember, I am pulling it taut. I'm not like, totally manhandling it, but I'm pulling it pretty tight so that it doesn't have any ripples to it. Okay, and this is going to be very similar as the other one. Oh my goodness, of course I can't see what I'm doing. I'm trying not to get the top of my head like in the camera shot, but I really want to pull this closer to my face. There we go. Now I'm on a roll. Okay, so it's going to be pretty similar in the fact that when we get to the bottom, we're just going to basically turn around and come up the opposite way, so it will fill in those other gaps that we currently see. Sometimes this kind of scoots, so I'm gonna just scoot it back. There we go. Okay, again, keep pulling it nice and tight. We want it tight. There we go. And now I'm coming to the bottom, making sure I got through all 3 pieces there. Okay, so that's kind of what that looks like. And now I'm gonna go back up, and you'll see kind of what that does here in a second. It's just gonna make a nice straight stitch all the way up in our, you know, coordinating color of thread here. I'm trying to go quickly, but I feel like I should just settle down. So see, it makes a nice straight line. Again, it just depends on what look you prefer. I think they both look really nice, but I love that baseball stitch. You can tell I like sports. All right, come back up. And we're really gonna knot it off in a very similar way also when we get up to the top here. Good thing we only have 10 holes to go through, so you don't have to totally watch me. If I were more tech savvy, this is where I'd be like, ooh, insert time lapse part here. But I don't know what I'm doing, so you get what you get with this. Okay, so there is the front. We've got all the way up to the top. The back side, we still have that last hole that we didn't incorporate yet. So again, like before, I'm just going to go through it. I'm actually gonna go through the back piece and the interior pocket piece and pull it through. So it still isn't pulled through to the front. It's behind this first flap, but it's just gonna hold it nice and tight. And then just like before, again, I'm gonna just open this up. I can see my next stitch down. I'm gonna take my needle and just go behind it, not going through to the front of the piece at all. I'm not going through any holes. I'm just going behind that stitch. There's my loop. Whoop. There's the loop. Pull the thread through the loop and tighten it down with your fingernail. So, because again, you know me by now, I'm gonna just go ahead and go through it a second time, although I don't think that that's necessary. I'm just like that. Okay, there we go. Tighten it down, use my fingernail, and trim that excess there. Yay, look at that. So no knots showing. I'm gonna go ahead and finish the other side just so you can see what it looks like completely finished. And then you can make a judgment call on which stitch you wanna use. But again, super, super easy. Really fun little project. And it actually, like, this is a great way if you have, like, if you've got kids and you wanna talk about sewing. I used to do things like this with my grandma, and I'm so glad that I did, because now I have like a basic knowledge of sewing. I am in no way even close to like a seamstress or anything like that, but I can mend my own clothes, and I can kind of like alter my clothes too, which has been really helpful throughout my life. So I appreciate the knowledge behind this. And too, it's just really fun to make something that you are gonna then be like utilizing daily. You better use these daily. No, I'm just kidding. You can use these whenever you want, but they are really cute and affordable, and you can get all different colors to match all your different bags. I'll be coming out with more workshops kind of as these weeks go on. So check back in. I think I'll try to be posting about one new one a week. And I think I'm gonna do a larger clutch as well that kind of hooks onto your belt buckle of your pants. So keep an eye out for that one. but these are super fun little pieces. Okay, I'm all the way down to the bottom, trying to hurry so you don't get bored. Also trying to hurry so you can just finish and see what it looks like when we're all done. If you go on my website and check out these kits, you'll see that they ship directly to your house. I process and pack up the orders the next day, so you'll have them really quickly. And there's just like tons of colors to choose from. So you gotta kind of trust me on the thread color, but I don't know, I think all these look pretty good if I do say so myself. So I'm almost up at the top. There we go. And again, I'm gonna go through that hole that we didn't use, through the hole of the pocket piece, and come behind that front flap, so then I can open this up and knot it off. Oh my goodness, I'm being so silly. Knotting, knotting, knotting. Okay. I'm only gonna knot it off the one time so that then I can just show you what it looks like. Go ahead and trim that. And put my little toggle on. So again, I just put the little threaded part through that hole, through to the front, and then you just twist on the brass kind of like nubbin thing. If you're having problems tightening it down, it's probably because you don't have them completely level with each other. So just untwist it and go ahead and tighten it. I'm just gonna use the screwdriver because I've got it here. Nice and tight, ready to go. And there you have it. So we've got these, I'll use this one so you can see it a little better. 2 different types of stitches. Again, it just depends on which one you like the best. Oh my God, you know what I didn't even use? This card. This card was here to help you if you needed more stability while sewing to put into your piece, but I don't know, we didn't seem to need it, so that's what that card is for. I guess if you're gonna give this as a gift, you can put the card in there and it keeps this kind of, gives it a little more stability and structure to it, but ha ha ha, didn't even need to include that in your kits apparently. So yeah, so there you have it. I love these. Please comment below if you like them too. Thank you, thank you, thank you for watching. I hope you've had a good time with me and I hope you love your new piece. Again, hit me up if you have any questions. Visit my website in the description below to check out more workshop kits. And yeah, take care, stay happy, stay healthy. I love you guys. Bye-bye.